Hello, welcome, Amanda. I'm so excited that you're on. Thank you so much for spending the time. For anyone listening, I'm Meaghan Moraes Gerzon. And today on Get Real, an Own Person podcast, we have Amanda Bartlett. She's an energy healer and author of a new book, which I'm really excited for her to dive into. And so we actually just recently met at a women's networking event, and it was kind of like fate. We were right across from each other at the table, and we connected on our healing journeys. And you actually have been doing that work for quite some time, and I've been exploring that after my own grief. And you're dealing with kind of a similar situation. So we made this happen, and I'm so excited to have you. So feel free to introduce yourself, what you do, what you're excited about.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me here.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this work. So I do emotion code and Reiki, and now I bring in song. Um, when I'm doing the Reiki, songs come through me. So if people are open to that, I love sharing that with them because they're often songs of affirmation.
That's so.
Um, yeah, it's really a cool process. And the book that I'm writing that is almost it's basically done. It's just there's a little bit more that needs to be put in there, but um yeah, it's about my spiritual journey of awakening through the portal of grief from my father transitioning to spirit when I was
Yeah.
very young. Um
Hmm. And how young were you?
and yeah, it's I was 12.
Okay. Yeah, that's a tough time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a developmentally it's a young time. I
Yeah, I
still
bet.
hadn't quite figured out who I was, but
Hmm. Well,
um
yeah, there's a lot to dive into with
yeah.
that experience and how it shaped where you are now. And so
Yeah.
today, and your book is called "I'm Still Here," right? So this episode is titled "I'm Still Here: Turning Loss into a Calling That Helps Others Heal." So that's what I want to dive in deeper with you on. And so just to jump into that moment when you lost your father. Um, and that you have said that that changed the direction of your life, right? So can you just take
Mm.
us back to the moment when that grief actually transformed you and cracked something open that and made you a different person than you were before?
I just remember going through his things um and just thinking like, is that all? Like, is that all that's left? And realizing the importance of relationships um yeah, nothing came through spiritually at that point.
And when was that? Soon after he died or later?
Yeah, that was soon after he died.
Okay, so you're still
Um
quite young.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I would say that in terms of it cracking something open for me, the really big pivotal moment was when I was in my 30s and I was preparing for a presentation for work. And at the time, I was working as an occupational therapist in the Salem Public Schools.
Okay.
And the teachers were under a lot of pressure to improve test scores. It was like a cooker for everybody.
Yeah.
And my supervisor had said to me, everybody wants to throw you under the bus, Amanda. So you have to do your presentation about the obstacle course that you set up. And I said, okay, great. And I um I did have a PowerPoint presentation that I put together very last minute, and I was very nervous of, doing the whole thing, but it opened some major portals for me. And one of the things that I was using in preparation for it, after I had put everything on PowerPoint, was a toolkit that I had purchased from a life coach.
Okay.
And it was all about the inner critic and how to reconnect with your inner wisdom
Mm,
And one of the parts of myself that I had never met before, I realized felt responsible for everything.
really?
And I mean, I had been through years of therapy, but I had never met that part of myself that felt responsible for my father's bicycle accident.
Really?
And yeah,
Wow.
and so I was like in the living room, like literally a week before this presentation in the middle of the night and dialoguing with my inner critic.
Wow.
And she said, "Everything is your fault." And I was like, "Really? Even my dad?" And she was like, "You were too mean." I'm like, "Okay, that's a little bit like."
That's a
So
little
I
much.
obviously, I released that through
Yeah.
tears. And then this is when my father came through me for the first time. And he said, "I'm still here." And I literally felt his voice within me. And it
Wow.
almost felt like this glow. Like it felt like an energetic glow.
Wow.
And I was just sitting there processing it. Like, I can't believe how amazing this is in the midst of this like crazy situation.
Yeah.
Um, and I went over to my laptop and I went onto Facebook. And on Facebook, there was this really magical thing that caught my attention. It was this dancing gorilla. And it was an animation from, a music video that David Newman was doing. He was one of my favorite music artists, and he's a kirtan and chant artist.
Oh, cool.
Um, and the gorilla was, like, doing this really amazing, like, dance with its arms, and then it was starting going like this. It was, like, being really still. I'm like, "Oh my god, that's my dad." Because my dad used to show my brother and I, like, we used to watch, nature shows together.
Oh.
And, um, and he used to always say when we would see the dancing, like we would see the dancing. When we would see the gorillas and monkeys, he would be like, "There's Amanda Monkey, there's Gabriel Monkey, there's
Oh, that's so cute.
Daddy Monkey." And, I was like, "Oh my god, that's him."
Oh,
And then
that's
the
I love that.
lyrics started coming through and it was, "You can count on me."
Wow.
It literally starts with cry, thunder, above, below, or under. You can count on me. It's just
Oh, that's
beautiful.
beautiful. Oh my gosh.
And it was not just him singing too. It was like him and Donna Delory and all these amazing singers.
Wow.
And years later, this was the most amazing part is that a couple years later, after I had gone through that presentation, I
And how'd it
met
go?
David. It went well,
Great.
surprisingly. Yeah,
Yeah.
surprisingly, it went well. I
Get
really
over that critic.
overprepared for it, and, like, yeah, that critic was so pivotal in, uh in that presentation,
Mhm.
in rewiring my whole understanding of who I was.
Yeah.
Um, m and yeah, so David Newman, years later, I was at this, grand opening for a yoga studio called Sanctuary,
Mhm.
and I walked up to him and again, ignoring my inner critic saying, "Who's he?" "He's not gonna wanna talk to you, like, he's just this, like, really important, famous person," and so I was like I said, I said, "David, I really, wanted to thank you for a song that you wrote, um, and I feel like it helped me reconnect with my father's spirit when I really needed it." And, I did a presentation for work, and I explained a little more, and he put his hand on his heart, and he took a deep breath, and he said, "I wrote that song for my daughter." He's like, "So thank you so much for telling me that."
Wow. Had his daughter passed?
No, no, she was,
No.
like,
Okay.
4 years old.
Oh, that's so
at the
sweet.
time. Yeah, yeah,
So it was like a father-daughter song anyway, so that's a really
yeah,
nice connection.
yeah. Thanks.
Oh. Well, that is just, you know, when and I've experienced moments like you're explaining. I think a lot of people have. I've spoken to friends that have lost loved ones and the signs, you know, and sometimes it's just so easy to question yourself, like, am I making this up? Um, but then there's certain things where like you just know and you have that feeling. Like you said, you felt the glow and I think it comes music is a form it comes through a lot, and especially that you're connected
Yeah.
to music anyway, and I'm connected to music, and actually, after my mom passed, we were both very musical, and there were certain songs we had kind of like it was either a special song or something we would listen to together, or the actual lyrics were like just a specific message, and she's come in many songs to me, but I remember that first time she did, and I would just, like, cry tears of joy. I was just, like tears were streaming
Aw.
down my face, and I was, like I felt like I was just, like, "Oh, this is amazing." So I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
so
that's
cool.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, so that happened in your 30s, you said, right? And so from that point on, what drew you closer to this line of work? Because you said you were in that job. So how did that moment and channeling your dad's energy bring you closer to what you're doing now?
Um, well, it really made me reevaluate like all of my relationships and who I was.
Mm, yeah.
And that's where it started. It was like, who do I want to be? Like everybody goes through stuff. And I think that's how it guided me through the ups and downs of choosing a career. And I realized, I wanted to be an OT
Mhm,
and I wanted to merge because I wanted to help people because I
mhm,
realized, I love being creative and I love um, helping people. And and I felt like that would be like a really reasonable career to get career path. And then from there, I in OT school, I was trained as a Reiki um, by a Reiki practitioner to be a Reiki 1 practitioner.
okay,
And so that started the emotional, like the energy work.
got it.
And yeah, that was like the beginning of it.
Cool. Okay, that makes sense. So it kind of just evolved from there.
Yeah.
And you said and this is so critical because y it all started with you know, getting rid of that critic and understanding who you actually were, wanted to be. And you know, I've been working on that. I've called it my toxic voice. So it's just the same type of thing to
Yeah.
understand like that's not always you. That's just a story that you're being told. And you have to kind of
Right.
rewire that system, which is very difficult. So, in actually understanding more clearly who you were and who you wanted to be and where you wanted to go, what was it that made that more clear to you? Was it just, like, identifying that critic? Was it understanding that your dad wasn't actually gone and his presence helped you? Because your book is about and you can elaborate on this, but it's about the fact that the spirits are still with us, and they're not just gone like the belongings you're going through, right? That wasn't the only trace of him. So, what was it that made you more comfortable, confident, and clear in this in becoming who you really are.
Um, I think it was practicing with people
Mhm.
and also doing some life coaching with um, a woman who had lost both of her parents, named Dr. Sweta. Um, she was doing life coaching, and I thought, if she can do it, why don't I try that? And so I did that during the pandemic.
Okay.
Um, and I turned into a little bit of a life coach for people going through grief and different transitions. Um, and I also brought in some of the energy work that I was trained in at the time.
Mhm.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, it does. So you kind of had practices that
Yeah.
that assisted, right? Um,
Yeah. And I also ended up creating a little yoga class for my with my son and some of his friends.
oh,
And
cool.
after the one of them had lost a grandmother, and I felt inspired, why don't I make a grief yoga, class for the kids so
Oh,
that
that's so nice.
um a poem had already come through me about the different stages that we go through of grief and all the
Mhm.
different like feelings that can come up. And so I made a little class up, and it was um it was really inspiring to get the feedback from the parents of those kids because I didn't know all of them and I
Yeah.
didn't know how they would respond to this kind of a topic.
Mhm.
But especially since I was telling them that one of the poses would be that grief was like a bridge to
Mm,
being able to connect with your loved ones on who have passed over. And one
mhm.
of them, the one that I didn't know out of all of them the best, said, "I think that's beautiful."
Oh,
And I was, like, really touched.
wow. How old were the kids at the time?
They were about 12
Okay.
or t yeah, they ranged in ages between one of them was 6, um, and the oldest one was 12. My son at the time was 10.
Okay. Yeah, that's just so beautiful and powerful and special that you got to relay that what we typically think of as a more adult and challenging topic made it something that children could connect to and move and it seemed like it actually resonated. So that's really great because I mean obviously grief affects people of all ages and it's confusing and it's a lot to process and so I'm just curious, it seems like you said like poems come through you and you're open and maybe you've always been this way where you have that openness and you're in tune. Um, so for someone, whether it's a child that doesn't know what's going on or even an adult that has not been as open or in tune throughout their life, what would you say to them? Like, is it, how would you recommend if someone's interested in connecting? But isn't getting the signs and isn't feeling anything, what would you say?
Well, I would say practice being in stillness,
Mhm.
and then there's one thing that you can ask, um, and that is, "Show me a sign you're in my life."
Yeah.
And then just be open. It
Mhm.
can take sometimes a long time for signs to come through. Um, Sometimes 10 minutes can feel like forever,
Yeah.
when you're in that, uh, when you're in, certain emotions, 10 minutes can feel like a really long time.
Mhm.
And, sometimes it's taken just about that for my father to come through, and just when I was feeling like I was ready to drift off to sleep one night, um, finally, I was like, "Just show me a sign you're in my life." It was, like, right before I had a party that I was planning to celebrate my reconnection with him,
Oh,
and
great.
I asked him to show me another sign. I was, like, thinking maybe a picture, just I don't know, like, there's gotta be something around here that I can find,
Yeah.
and about 10 minutes after I had asked that question, I was getting back into bed to go back to sleep or at least try, and,
Mhm.
he came through me and he said, "Go into the cellar and look in the boxes your mother gave you."
Oh.
And, so I did, and I went in the middle of the night again into my cellar
That's when it happens for
and,
you.
right, yeah. And, in the boxes, there was one that was labeled holiday ornaments or Christmas ornaments.
Okay.
And I was like, "That's strange," because my mom knows that I don't really prioritize, like, decorating for the holidays here. And, so I opened the box, and it's all my dad's old spiritual books.
Wow.
And I was like, "Wow, that's a sign."
That's
Thanks.
definitely a sign. Clear sign. So he was spiritual as well?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. We're
that's you know
both
what? I
Pisces,
think
and so
oh, got it. Okay. I don't know if you agree, but, I think when you're so close to someone like a parent and child, and you both are spiritual, and you have that connection that way, they really come through more strongly, and that's
yeah.
how I feel with my mom. Because she was always spiritual. She was actually Catholic. I have a little different philosophy. I was raised that way, but we connected on a soul level always. So that's why I just like am so receptive to her coming to me. So it's just
Awesome.
that's really cool. So I'm thinking about you mentioned that you realized you wanted to help people, right? And work on people understanding how to connect or heal, and then you got to the point where you wanted to write this book to hopefully help more people, right? So,
Mhm.
how did that evolve from you, like, doing things like the kids yoga class and working with more people to you want to bring this to a larger scale and share what you've learned?
It was an interesting time in my life. I would say it was like so a couple years ago, my husband was diagnosed with a very challenging health condition.
Okay.
And I realized, and my son was the same age that I was when my father transitioned.
Oh, okay.
And I realized, life is really short.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I've been saying, um, I'm going to write this book. I'm going to write this book. And I was like, you know, you can you can keep saying that forever and ever, and it's never going to happen unless you actually do something about it. So
Yeah.
I
I've been
realized
there. You
that.
gotta actually try start it. Just start.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I saw this promotion in a group. It was this group called She Rises, and it
Mhm.
was based in California, and they had what seemed to me like a really reasonable price for book coaching program,
Okay.
and they helped. Yeah, so I jumped on it at that time, and I said, might as well start. There's no one, there's no one that's going to do it for me.
Yeah, that's smart to start with coaching, so you weren't just, like, on your own winging it, and it seems like you've worked
Yeah.
with a life coach previously, so did you feel like that would keep you more accountable, or you just needed some guidance? Why that route?
Yeah, I really feel like one thing I know about myself is that I do best when I get some positive feedback
Oh,
and
yeah.
somebody expecting things from me.
Okay.
So,
That makes sense.
um, yeah, so that's why I jumped on that route.
That makes sense, yeah. Okay, cool. And now you're almost done, so you've been how long have you been working on it?
So for about 2 years now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. And for you to feel like, okay, it's where it needs to be, it's ready, what how would you describe that feeling, or what do you want it to truly be able to convey when it's complete?
I wanted to convey that A, there's hope if you're going through grief. There's hope that you can reconnect with your loved ones, um, without the use of a medium,
Uh-huh.
and that there are really simple ways to go about doing that. Um, and I also want to convey that you're not alone, that there are other people out there who are interested in this, you know, this way of grieving because it's an openness that not everybody is necessarily open to.
Yeah, no, it's intense and it can
Yeah,
be painful, especially like when things about your relationship open up and you're revealed truths that maybe like you're talking about how you understood your that critic voice, and I think things with relationships get more like brutally honest or just you're not hiding anything at that point. So it can be challenging and painful. I've experienced that firsthand.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Mhm. So that there has to be that willingness to be that open, like you were saying, and kind of just
Right.
let go of any hesitation or fear or whatever it is that people hold on to.
Yeah, judgments and yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Because I think some people have, like in our society, it's not really the norm to be so open about what we're talking about right now. Like, not
right.
everyone believes in mediums or believes in the spiritual connection. So, um, I love that you said it's for people to understand how to connect on their own in their own way without that assistance. And so maybe how would you explain how that makes it more accessible to people and more like maybe to turn critics? Do you think it would help people who are struggling in that way, or do you think it's more for people who have already looked into maybe work with a medium and Reiki and things like that?
I think anybody that is interested in the topic already has that curiosity.
Yeah.
So anybody, I guess, that's listening, it really is for anybody that's listening because I really think it can be so healing to actually be able to talk with your loved ones.
Hmm.
I know that like when I was going through my grief work with one of my therapists, she used to like simulate conversations between myself and my father.
Hmm.
And if you can do that with the real spirit of the person, that just makes it that much more profound and more it makes it more deep and meaningful than pretending. So,
Definitely.
yeah, so I think it really could be helpful for anybody. And they would just have to be open to the idea that, even though it's hard, and I don't know what everybody's backgrounds are, but I really feel like it is one of the most important ways. It's like, like everybody knows about the what, 5 stages of grief book,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
But I really feel like as a humanity, as a I don't know, species, I don't know what we
Yeah.
are as humans, but but that our next level is going to accept this as the norm. Like I
Yeah.
really feel like that's the truth. Um,
I think that's where we need to head because I think maybe we can talk about this for a few minutes. I feel like, and I was brought up this way where you just don't think about death. You kind of think you'll always be okay. We don't want to focus on death because it's a bad thing and it's a scary, terrible thing. Um, like the worst thing you could think of. But the reality is, we all die. Everyone dies. Our loved ones die. We will die. So being more comfortable and being able to deal with it in a more positive, natural way where, when you love someone so much, you don't want them to be away from you, but you're saying that you can still have that connection in a different way, right? So,
right.
how would you what's your opinion on that? How, most people think of death and passing as this more negative situation and how can they reframe that with this book?
That's a really good question. Yeah, so I think that it it makes it so accessible.
Mhm.
Um, because all you have to do is just ask and have that willingness. And as long as you're open, it can open new ways of thinking, new ways of being with your grief and with your loved ones. You don't have to feel alone, and you don't have to feel like it's the end all be all.
Mhm.
Does that
Yeah,
answer
'cause
your question?
it seems so final. I mean, I've been living this, both of my parents recently passed, so and I was very close to them. So when they're just gone, they're never coming back physically. Feels so final and so harsh sometimes. Um,
Hmm.
but then in the moments where you feel certain things, or maybe you have some kind of connection, or you're learning more about yourself in your grief journey, you feel that sense of comfort and, like you said, like, you're not alone. They're not just gone. Their spirit is energy that exists, and I think that when you're so close with someone, they are within you. Do you feel that way too, of it's kind of like you're yourself, but you have that love within you and that relationship within you still?
Absolutely, yeah.
Mhm.
And even I'll tell you one more little tidbit that I guess like during the pandemic, um, I was really amazed that that message came through so profoundly for me. Um, I had done some Kundalini yoga and it was on my father's birthday. I wanted to celebrate him in some way. And
Yeah.
so the year before, I had had a picture of him that I used, and I had done a ritual, and I lit a candle, and I did some yoga,
Yep.
and I
Mhm.
was talking to him. And this year, after I did the yoga, I did it first thing, and then I went to grab a picture, and his voice literally, like, energy came through me, and he said, "You don't need that anymore. I'm a
Huh.
part of you."
Oh.
And I was like, "Okay, yeah, like, right." And, so he's like, "Yeah, just get rid of it, like, rip it up, like, just burn it, like, do whatever you gotta do." But so I went outside and I did just that. I tried to burn it. It wouldn't burn, but, because it was raining, of course,
Okay.
but, I ripped it up and I did throw it away in the compost pile, which took a great act of courage. So first I took a picture of it and posted it to myself to Facebook. But, then as I was, like, weeping and I started tapping on my points when I came
Yeah.
back into the house, and as I'm tapping and looking in the mirror, and I was saying, like, "Even though I'm feeling all this grief, I choose to love, honor, and accept myself. All this grief, all this grief, all this grief."
Yeah.
And, he comes through me again as I'm weeping, and he said, "When you look into your eyes, you're looking into my eyes."
Wow.
And that just allowed me to, like, release more, and then, shortly after that, I was, cooking breakfast, and I think as a lot of people can relate, like, during the pandemic, I was feeling a lot of anxiety, and,
Yeah.
I all of a sudden felt like this energy transmission. It felt angelic to me,
Hmm.
and what happened was it felt like somebody came and took a huge vacuum and vacuumed up all the remaining feelings that I had, like the anxiety,
Oh.
and it felt like then what descended upon me was this message, and the feeling of deep calm and peace, and the message was, "You are safe and all is well."
Oh,
And
I love
I
that.
had remembered seeing, thank you. And I had remembered seeing a Facebook Live that one of my favorite life coaches, Martha Beck, had done. And she said, she named it "The Number One Message Your Angels Want You to Know." And after I'd watched it for like 5 minutes, um, the message was, "You are safe and all is well."
Oh.
That's what they want you to know. Like
Mhm.
that no matter what is going on in your life, no matter how crazy and how much like a dumpster fire it seems, like like You are safe and all is well.
I'm actually getting like a little bit emotional because I've been feeling that exact message, especially from my mom. And so she used to always say, "It's all good. It's all good." So,
Uh,
she says that to me, like, basically, "You're safe and all is well," in her own words. And,
Beautiful.
wanting me to just, um, be okay, enjoy my life, and it's okay. It doesn't have to be this heavy. It doesn't have to be the end. Like you said, it's not final. Just keep living.
Right.
So I think maybe that's the message of just keep living with them in us, right? So they're kind of living.
Exactly.
And so I have a son, he's almost 2, and my mom only knew him for 9 months. And so I really feel like she comes through me to him, and she's just around us a lot. So, yeah, it's a beautiful thing when you can actually tap into this, and I think, the work you're doing, like you said, if someone actually has that curiosity, they're open to it in some way. Maybe they're skeptical, maybe they're unsure if they even want to go down this path, but being able to understand how to tap into that openness and use it as a tool to comfort yourself when you need it and to connect when you need it because the love isn't gone. That's what I always tell myself. When there's so much love, it's not gone. It could never be gone when there's so much love,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Thank you for
um,
sharing that.
yeah. And kind of a couple more things I'm curious about and would love to hear your take. You were throughout your life since your father passed into your 30s and then building your career now, doing chanting and other practices that have filled you with that sense of purpose and helping people. Um, what do you think has made you become you who you truly are? Because it seems like you're living your truth at this point, and your dad has been helping you within you, but you're yourself. He's been bringing out yourself. So I like to ask people, what do you think it means to be your own person? So with that in mind, how has this helped you become your own person and what does that mean?
For me, that means bringing all the parts of myself into all the work that I do into every situation that I'm in. So,
Mm.
like, in my work as an OT, I'll bring in my puppets. I have I have a unicorn puppet, and I'm helping kids with potty training to
Oh, I might
um
ask you for
like
some help when I get there.
yeah, yeah, I'd be happy to help. And you could tap on the points of using the tapping points for acupressure and so that's one of the ways. Also just like my dad was so silly and so I can be very silly as well. And I love doing that with the kids. And so I work at a school called the May Institute um, as a music and movement teacher. And I get to be
Oh,
silly like once a week for about like 4 hours with them and get paid
that's
for it, which is
amazing.
awesome. And
That's
all their teachers and staff. And it's really it's really fun. Um, and also just realizing, like, even in situations where I'm not, like, being, paid for my work, like, there's always an opportunity in every challenge I've realized, and,
yeah.
um, I can choose to see things as, like, final, or I can choose to see things as another entry into the next expression of who I am.
Oh, I love that. Yes, 100%. Because we're not just one thing our whole life. We're entering different phases. And so a
Right.
challenge opens up that portal, right?
Yes, yes.
I'm going through
Yeah.
that situation now and it's even though it's so difficult, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. It's like I'm so happy that it's happening even though it's been terrible. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
happy and grateful for it.
Beautiful. Yeah, what is that for you? or if you want to share.
Yeah, just I mean, even doing this work, working with people on it's their personal brand, but it's really helping and I help people because I've been doing this myself, understanding what is your actual truth, who like you experience, who are you at your core, and how can you be bold, take that out of you and express it in a bold, confident, clear way that it's undeniably you. And so I love just being at that point where I'm experiencing that and seeing that more and more each day through the grief I've gone through being a mother, a first time mother. I'm a different person than I was a year ago, a year and a half ago. So it's been rapid growth for me. And so I feel like I'm awakening to someone I really am proud of and someone that can be powerful and helpful. So that's been my personal experience.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, well, thank you so much for this conversation. We'll be talking more. I'm going to try your services. I'm really excited because I'm always open to all forms of healing, and I like chatting with you in general and getting to know you. So, um,
Thank
I
you.
recommend that people connect with you. Is Facebook the best way to find you, and they can learn more about your book?
Yeah, people can find me either through Facebook or you can email me at alignwithamanda33@gmail.com. Or if they're interested in OT, they can email me at amanda.holisticot.com.
Perfect. Great. Well, yeah, thank you so much. I am excited when your book is done. I will definitely be reading it and sharing it. So, thank you. And I'm glad we could relate this way. So, thanks again and
Thank you.
talk soon.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Bye.